got that dog in him. Timberwolves Nuggets, game one of the Western Conference semis. Anthony Edwards. You cannot deny the Michael Jordan comps. Not saying he's Michael yet, okay? Got a long way to go. But you cannot deny the moves and what he does late. He was already a star. But what we're watching right now out of Anthony Edwards, I mean, this is perhaps the, I don't know, dare I say the genesis of a superstar in the playoffs. Maybe one in the making here for Minnesota. I'm going to stop my heartfelt poem to Anthony Edwards here. 106-99, knock off the defending NBA champs in game one. Long way to go, long way to go. Minnesota's 5-0 this postseason. Their first second-round win in 20 years. For Denver, their first loss in any game one since the first round of 2022. Ant goes for 43, his third career 40-point playoff game. That's a career-high 43. Jokic, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. Jamal Murray, 0 in the first half. He had 17 in the second. They just didn't get enough production. And Nas, this is the Nas Reed game. Hit 16 points, 14 in the fourth. And the T-Wolves take a 1-0 series lead. And for more, welcome two members of the Beyond the Arc podcast, CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder and CBS Sports HQ NBA analyst John Gonzalez. The T-Wolves go into Denver and stun the defending NBA champs. Bill, your reaction is what before I give my love letter to Anthony Edwards?
Well, my reaction is in line with that. I think you should embrace your inner poet. I want the love letter. I love that you said the quiet part out loud. They almost did on the broadcast, but the guys didn't quite have the guts to say he is Jordan-esque. What a performance by that young man, that absolute superstar. I think you're right. I think this is the beginning of a story that's going to help define the NBA for a long time in the postseason. How about some credit to Anthony Edwards' teammates, because they were absolutely absent in that first half. I know he had a tremendous first half, but you had no players other than Karl Anthony Towns who had more than 2 points in the first half, and Cat was fine offensively, and Nas Reed and so many other guys contributed in such big ways, took some of the heat off of Anthony Edwards, and then down the stretch toward the end, needing buckets. Denver doing what they always seem to do, which is be lackadaisical, then mount a comeback. I'm going to go poet here now, Hakeem. He did go Jordan-esque. There were Jordan moves. It was Jordan-like in his ability not just to get buckets, but to get buckets when he felt like momentum was moving against his team. What a performance by the Timberwolves, and what a performance by Anthony Edwards. Incredible.
Yeah, I'm absolutely blown away by Anthony Edwards. I mean, we really saw him step up after Karl Anthony Towns went down with that injury. Bill and I talked about it on the podcast where we thought, okay, offensively, this is going to be a struggle for this team because they were middle of the pack, mediocre offensively, obviously played through that #1 ranked defense during the regular season. But Anthony Edwards, in the absence of Karl Anthony Towns, stepped up and said, no, we're good. I got this. And now they've got Cat back. These guys are absolutely rolling. Anthony Edwards has come to play in this postseason and to assert himself and to make everybody talk about, forget about who's next. This guy is playing for right now. He was awesome. Bill mentioned some of the other guys that really contributed. Mike Conley ended up with a double-double. Karl Anthony Towns, despite being in foul trouble, he came alive. And then when he got into foul trouble, you had Nas Reed, the sixth man of the year, put up 16, including 10 straight second-half points. And when the Wolves are shooting the ball that well, 52% from the field today, that makes it much more difficult for the Nuggets, who in that first series against the Lakers, they were trailing, then they just turned it on, right? Well, when the Wolves are shooting the ball well, it's hard for you to just turn it on because that defense is absolutely suffocating. And now, for the first time in 2 years, the Nuggets trail in a series.
They were down by as many as 14, Denver was in the first quarter. Yeah, they came back and took the lead at the end of the first quarter, but had to expel a lot of energy. And I know it's postseason time, and energy and all of that is at a premium, and you just got to go out and ball. But when you're down by 14 against a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, that takes a lot of effort. It almost was as if Denver was drained a little bit, right? We saw Jamal Murray struggle in the first half, dealing with still the injury he's dealing with him being slow in the first half. Bill, how did that impact Denver in the second half?
Yeah, look, and I also want to just add on to what you both just said, because the way the Timberwolves play D and that exhaustion factor, Hakeem, I thought Nikola Jokic, who's obviously amazing, he had to work for his buckets. He had a really good game, and he almost did what he always does, which is pulled his team back from the brink at the end. But the size and the length of that Timberwolves defense, and whether it was Gobert or at times Cat or Naz Reid, they made life so hard on Jokic. And he looked so tired and so exhausted. And it's not that he buckled under the exhaustion, but you just see with what they have behind him, the lack of size in Denver, they're going to have to play him so many minutes. He's going to have to work for his shots, which he did. And so to each of your points, I think the defense of the Timberwolves and how suffocating it is, and particularly their ability not to stop Jokic, but to make it really hard on him, to make him have to work for every bucket, maybe to make it a little bit harder for him to just flip that switch and comfortably mount a comeback. It's a different kind of challenge for this Denver team than playing the Lakers and, frankly, probably playing a lot of other teams, because you're right. They are going to make it so hard on Nikola, and they are going to make it so he has to work to get what he wants. And he'll get there, but it's going to be really, really difficult. I think that size and that length of the Timberwolves, huge advantage, even with Jokic being on the other side in this series.
I mean, Joker went for 32, 9, and 8 tonight, almost a triple-double. And Bill is absolutely right. They made him work for every inch of that. I mean, there were multiple plays where Rudy Gobert was all over him and they're switching, and Naz Reid was giving him everything he could handle, and Joker really had to turn it on and put it in maximum effort mode, because, you know, aside from MPJ, he didn't have a ton of offensive help tonight. Yes, Jamal Murray, 0 points in the first half, 17 in the second half, but on 14 shots tonight. I mean, he wasn't super efficient. I still think he's hobbled by that calf. Didn't really look like himself. And Jaden McDaniels did a great job. Look, Jaden McDaniels was not good offensively. He was a literal 0 tonight. And now in the first series, he played at both ends of the floor, but he always gives you maximum effort defensively. So he was harrying Jamal Murray. They had Ant on him at times. They had Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's been really good in the postseason, on him at times. That length, not just that they can throw at you on the backcourt, but also, as Bill said, in the front court, where they have all these interchangeable dudes that are just as big as everybody that the Nuggets have. It has really, in this first game, shown that this could be a significant series. I mean, I think that there's probably a lot of people who are a little surprised by this result tonight, but if you watch the Wolves, especially down the stretch and in that first series against the Suns, shouldn't be a surprise.
Well, if we get a game like this, and this is going to be what is like this series is a representation, sign me up for 7. And as both of you guys know, these coaches know each other very well. Chris Finch, Mike and Nori, both were on Michael Malone's staff in Denver. So you know the X's and O's and the strategy and all the tactician that goes into game planning in these playoffs. They know each other. And these are two very talented teams. You saw Minnesota with its extremely tight defense on the Nuggets in this game and how it impacted them. Bill, right now, and it's not that big of a surprise, the Timberwolves are now the favorite in this series at -150 to win this series. What are the adjustments for Denver now? Now they've been tested. Now they've been pushed a little bit. We said this. We said, where are they going to find resistance? It was this spot right here.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few things. And one is going to be, it's tactical, but it's also philosophical. This is a Denver team that has not had to take seriously the teams that it has played for a long time until late in games. And it's been something that John Nash and I have talked about nonstop on the podcast. Big games in the regular season, games last playoffs, certainly against the Lakers. They get down. They don't really worry about in the first half. They're insouciant in a way that you really shouldn't be when you're playing for a championship. And then they flip a switch. That has to go away. And I think what I'm about, the second point, I think it links to that. Jamal Murray has been outstanding late in games, has been extraordinary in the fourth quarter, has been clutch or whatever, big time late, whatever you want to call it. But he hasn't been particularly consistent or effective in the first half. And that goes, I think, hand in hand. Strained calf or not, if he's out there, he has got to be effective, because when Jamal Murray is Jamal Murray, whatever his accolades, he's a top player of the NBA. When he plays at that level, this Denver team wins games, and we saw last year wins championships. When he doesn't, they don't. And then the third thing is, you've got to find a way. I don't know how you do this, and I can't believe we're having this conversation. You got to stop Anthony Edwards. You got to make life harder on him. You can't let him score whatever it is, the first 9 points in a playoff game in the second round, and let him get into rhythm and then just get shot after shot after shot. But there was a play at the end of the game where they basically doubled him, and he backed in as the shot clock was expiring. I think they were up maybe 4-6, whatever. It was a point where it was close, and he basically did a spin to his right fadeaway jump shot that, again, Akeem, I'm going to lean into your poetry, was Jordan-like. So it's not easy. But if you're Denver, you got to take this game seriously and this series seriously every second of the series. You got to get Jamal Murray going, and you got to do what you can to make sure Anthony Edwards doesn't feel as comfortable and look as historically great as he does, given the fact he's still a young dude without a lot of playoff experience.
Yeah, Bill nailed it. I mean, absolutely, you're going to need more from Jamal Murray, and you're going to need more from KCP out of the gate, right? You can't just – this is not the Lakers. The Wolves are going to play you tough for the entirety of the game. The